Android Studio 4.1 adds a great new tool called the Database Inspector. If you have a project that uses a database, you might see a tab appear labeled Database Inspector, but if you don't see it, you can get to the window by going to the View menu, to Tool Windows, and then choosing Database Inspector from there. Now, to demonstrate this, I'm going to use an existing application that has an integrated SQL-like database. I'm using Plain Old Notes 4, and I showed how to clone the repository for this application in a previous chapter of the course. This application uses the Room Jetpack library to manage an SQL-like database on the device. The app database class defines the name of the database. It's named Plain Old Notes here. I'll run the application on a device. I'm using a virtual device, but you could use a physical device instead. Once the application is open, I can go to the Database Inspector, and I should see a listing of my database, plainoldnotes.db. This application has a single database table named Notes. There's also a table here that's being managed by the Room library. I'll double-click on the Notes table and show that it's empty. Now I'm going to come back to my emulator. I'll click on the menu icon up here and I'll choose Add Sample Data. Then down here in the Database Inspector, I'll click Refresh Table, and I see the actual data that was created on the actual device and is shown here. Now, because I don't have live updates checked, I have to refresh the table each time. But I can turn on live updates, and now I'll come back to the application, and I'll add sample data again, and I immediately see new data added. Now I'm going to choose a couple of items. I'll select these, and then I'll click the trash can icon, and I immediately see the change in the underlying database. You can also make changes to the database right here within the interface. In order to do this, you have to turn off live updates, and then you can double-click into any value, and I'll change this from a simple note to a simple note that I changed. And when I press Enter or Return, I immediately see that change reflected in the application. And after I make that change, I can go back to Live Updates, and now I'm going to delete all of my data by selecting Delete All Notes, and the Database Inspector reflects that change. So this is a very simple and easy-to-use tool that makes it incredibly easy to find out what's going on in your underlying SQL-like databases in your Android apps. And it's available in Android Studio 4.1 and later.